They say ignorance is bliss, but today's easily accessible technology can turn your life upside down. A 52-year-old man's eldest daughter got an ancestry test, and the results raised a few alarms regarding paternity, but the DNA showed something even worse. A 52-year-old man turned to Reddit's relationship advice subreddit with a story that changed his life. However, he started with some background. He and his wife met in high school but married later in college. They made a beautiful life together, or so the man thought. The couple had 5 kids together, and the man, whose username is Need Advice Desperate, said they had the perfect marriage. Everyone envied them for being happy high school sweethearts. Their relationship was also peaceful as they didn't have fights, and he considered himself a loving husband and father. His only fault was working long hours, and the Reddit user admitted that perhaps he was too absent because of it. However, he didn't think his marriage had any issues. "Never in a million years would I have ever suspected my wife of disloyalty," he wrote. "She supported him and raised the children with a typical love of a great mother." Everything started when his eldest daughter purchased a trending ancestry test kit. Although the user warned at the top of the post that you shouldn't rely solely on those tests for paternity, the information it revealed for his daughter was strange. She came to him and explained the situation, and the man had to assure her that nothing would ever change between them no matter what. But they both decided to get official medical DNA tests to clear their minds. Those results were even worse because they confirmed their suspicions. He was in fact not her biological father, recalling, "This news really broke me. I'm ashamed to say I broke down in tears in front of my daughter." The news was particularly devastating because it not only revealed that the girl he had raised in love for so many years was not his, but that his perfect marriage was not so great. However, the man felt shame for showing such deep emotions in front of his daughter. The man knew he had to find out how deep the situation went. He spoke to his other 3 children except for his youngest daughter, who was still a teenager. It was imperative to determine if the infidelity was a one-time situation or if his wife had repeatedly strayed from their marriage. Once again, he reassured his children that results meant nothing in his heart, as he would always love them unconditionally, but he had to know the truth. The man went into detail about their beautiful reaction. The kids didn't care if he wasn't their biological father. They were upset to see the man who'd raised them in such pain. He had their full support, so they moved forward with the paternity tests. These results were even more shocking because none of them turned out to be his either. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. The situation worsened because the results showed that his wife was involved with 3 different men. His 2 eldest daughters have the same father, but the other 2 have different paternal DNA. To the Reddit user, this was even worse. A one-time infidelity at the beginning of their marriage could be written off, but the results indicated ongoing affairs with multiple other people. After some questions from other Reddit users, the man clarified a few things. First, the ancestry kit results from his daughter didn't connect her to the British Isles or Western or Northern Europe, but the man is Irish with red hair. But that affair would have been easy to forgive because their first daughter wasn't planned. However, the other 3 kids were planned. They were actively trying for them, and all the kids were conceived only a few months after they agreed to have them. The youngest daughter, who remained in the dark about the situation, was his wife's idea. The woman wanted one last child because she wasn't yet in her late 30s and it would have been impossible later, so the husband agreed. Once again, the baby was conceived only a few months later. Finally, he also planned to get some fertility tests to see if something was wrong with him. He finally decided to face his wife and demand the truth. He expected her to tell him the entire story and beg him not to leave her, but she did neither. She refused to admit any fault and thought he was seriously mad. She claimed the tests were wrong, but the man didn't believe it because the chances of all 4 DNA tests coming out wrong were low. When he insisted, the woman used manipulative words, telling him he should trust her. But the man was stumped, unable to believe it. Finally, he decided to confront her with his children, and things took the worst turn possible for the family. The man initially didn't want to give an update following that confrontation, but he changed his mind. The man revealed the confrontation went terribly, mainly because the wife was shocked no one believed her. She completely broke down and apologized profusely, but refused to explain herself or anything that would give myself peace of mind, he explained. They didn't speak for weeks, and he hoped that she was mulling things over and would finally explain everything later. However, the man arrived home one night and found her dead from an overdose. "So I lost the love of my life and I'll never know what mistakes she had made," the man said. He wished he could turn back time and forget about everything. But the worst part of this situation was watching his kids support him through this fallout when they had lost their mother. In conclusion, the man advised, "Please tell your family you love them while you have the chance."